Hey, everybody. I'm assuming I'm coming through. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in to live chat. We got some folks that are joining us now. First thing I'm going to do is in the chat box. I realized that when I set up the video and was preparing to go on tonight, that the comments had been turned off inadvertently. I believe I fixed that and should be able to comment now. But first thing I'm going to do is in the chat box, I'm going to put a link, and that link should take you to a place on the website that is just called a companion page for this session. It gives an outline of the things that I'm going to cover, and also a schematic at the bottom. It might be helpful for you to have a second window open on the side, like I'm going to do, and will allow you to follow along, maybe anticipate questions, and sort of the next housekeeping thing for the session. If you have a question, you can type it into the chat, and I have a number of folks out in the field. I guess it's one of the wonders of COVID and the electronic medium here. We've got folks that are out among you, the viewing audience, and including answers to those questions. Tonight's session will be recorded and posted on the channel and accessible later. We'll take all the questions that are addressed, clean them up, and post them on the graduation information page. So looks like people are streaming in, and we'll get rolling. Again, I'm Paul Butler. I'm the principal of the high school. I'm thrilled that we're able to do live events, including graduation. That showed up significantly in the conversation with not only seniors, but senior families. But it was very much a conversation that we were having internally, that we really wanted to do an in-person graduation ceremony. Tonight is kind of focused on graduation ceremony. It's the big question that's come through consistently. So we'll turn our attention mostly there. We'll go for as much as an hour. And if there are other questions that come up, please drop them in the chat. So this is our senior graduation information session. I'm on the companion page now. That's on the website. It's linked in the chat. First thing is to talk about academic requirements. And so actually, let's start first things first. The ceremony is going to take place on Sunday, June 13th at 4 o'clock right on the campus of Bangor High School. And if you want to scroll down, you can see at the bottom of that page, that companion page, is a schematic drawing that I'll refer to back and forth. But this is the day and time that we plan on having graduation. And there is a possibility, I'll just say, that we're monitoring the weather. We're sticking firm to the 13th. But if we scan ahead and the weather folks tell us that there's something more rainy and inclement about Sunday, and we might want to consider moving to Saturday, that would be something that would need to be approved by the school committee, and we do it well in advance. And but that's not a decision we make lightly. Our goal is to get the ceremony on the 13th, Sunday at 4 o'clock. Most important thing is making sure kids qualify for graduation. And I just got some bullets here under the senior academic requirements. Students need to complete all their courses that they're currently enrolled in. Some of them, I'll be honest with you, some of those courses that students are enrolled in are not, the student might be in a situation where they don't need that course for graduation. But the important thing, and I tell the students, is to sprint to the finish line, get those things all cleaned up. Students, seniors, most of them, some of them might be exempted from exams, but any required exam they need to complete as part of course requirements. Exam information will be released soon. We're going over the final details now, but the dates are set June 4th and June 7th during the academic day. There's a makeup day on June 8th. So all graduation requirements need to be met. And one other thing I'd like to point that's in the bullet on the companion page, a lot of students, seniors in particular, are enrolled in dual enrollment courses. Means they're taking a college course remotely I think very rarely, probably not at all on college campuses. But in some situations, those courses that students are enrolled in dual enrollment are graduation requirements. And it's the student's responsibility, the family's responsibility to get the transcript once the course is completed with the grade, and that's evidence of completion, and that grade goes onto our transcript and is credited toward our graduation requirements. So I would urge students to get on that now. Those courses will be wrapping up soon, and getting information to us so we can confirm graduation. We'd like to, I think this will be a link that's to be sent out by guidance counselors. We ask seniors to close out by completing a future plan survey. We've done that for decades now, and it gives us an indication where students are going. It also, part of this is, I didn't write in here, but one of the things we'll ask students to do is to register as alumni. That provides information about forwarding email, and the future plan survey gives us an idea of what pathway students have taken beyond the high school, and that's helpful to us and an important way of closing out. Unfortunately, one of my bad parts of my job is to notify families when a student hasn't met graduation requirements, and I do that on June 8th. If your phone doesn't ring by, I'm usually done by 6 o'clock. It's not that many, but everyone hurts, and I don't take them lightly. So by the end of the day on the 8th, I will have contacted all families if students haven't met graduation requirements. I'm just going to pause and take a look at the chat. Nothing yet. All right. So one thing you can do, I put a hot link in the companion page. It's to request some help in getting access to the parent portal, IC parent portal. A live conversation is always better, of course. There are ways I'll link in that companion page that I've linked to a guidance page with appointment times and direct email contact to guidance counselors. But the Infinite Campus parent portal is a way to look inside of a student's, your registered student's academic progress, grade book, etc. The habit is to stare over the shoulder of a student's account, but it's always better to have the parent portal. So if you'd like help with that, you can click there and get some help. Broken down in terms of timeline heading into the graduation ceremony, some in sort of to-do fashion. So between today and about a month from now on the 7th, and this is a housekeeping thing, but it is the type of thing that really adds up, and it's a responsibility I'm given and the school's given to recoup, bring in items that were essentially on loan to students, or that they might have damaged, lost, not turned in. We really need to clean those things up. So it's between now and then, students need to return all their school materials from this and previous years, library books, textbooks, uniforms. We need those fees. You might be a little bit shocked at how big they can get over 4 years and 260 some odd kids. We really need help clearing those things up before a student can participate in graduation. Bills went out recently. They were US mailed and should have arrived at home. If you have questions, there's a hot link in that in the companion page that will allow you to ask a question about fees. One thing we added a couple years ago is online pay options for things, for Chromebook charger, Chromebook case and charger, cap and gown payments, etc. There are ways to pay for those online. And I hate to ask that, but it is a responsibility, and would request your help getting those things cleaned up. I'm just going to take a peek and see if anything came up on those matters. So June 1st to June 7th will be the period, of be kind of a intense period of time for specific, trajectory into graduation. During that week, ask students to do several things. Now, the primary contact point is with the student. Ask students to come to school, pick up their caps and gowns. They need to have been paid for. Need to pick up ceremony tickets, a yearbook if they've ordered it, and that's done through the main office. If your student's a remote student, You come to the main office. We monitor that front door for traffic. There's a phone number to call. We'll be good at turning those things around and setting up in a way. The caps and gowns are sized out. Your graduate provided height, weight, etc. Any of the regalia, tassels, all that stuff will be in one package, along with the yearbook that's been ordered, and that's through the main office. Some unique ways that we're managing graduation, given that we won't have a lot of time to really no time with all students in one place before we have the graduation ceremony. We have to manage it in unique ways. So when the student picks up the cap and gown, inside the cap, there'll be a letter written. And the letter written inside the cap will direct students where to go when they come to the ceremony on the 13th. They'll also get tickets. The tickets, and I know tickets are probably a big question. We're allowing an original allotment of 4 tickets in request by an email survey that we're going to send to parents for additional tickets. As you can expect, we have a real expectation in running an in-person outdoor event to manage it closely. And one of the things we'll do, if you want to take a look now, might take your attention away a little bit, but we've set up the venue with pods, and they're 4-seat pods. So when the student comes and picks up the cap and gown, inside the cap will be a letter. That letter will tell them where to go to line up on the day of the ceremony. It will also correspond to the ticket, the pod letter for the 4 tickets that are in the original allotment. So the tickets, there's no clean and easy way to do this other than in person. We're going to give the tickets to the graduates as they come. It'll be first come, first serve. We'll be filling out the pods, the distanced pods, by letter in order that students pick up caps and gowns. That's a way of confirming who's coming. And it needs to be carefully managed and controlled in that way. And we're really happy to be able to offer an in-person ceremony. And I would hope you'd join me in tolerating maybe some of the inconveniences or some of the rigid ways that we might have to control things. But to me, the payoff of having an in-person graduation ceremony is worth those small hassles, I guess, and changes of typical direction. So that letter is important. It'll be inside the cap. It'll tell students which tent to go to. When they arrive, it'll tell you which pod of seats the 4 original tickets will go to. Again, there'll be an email that goes out to request additional tickets. We have 1,200 seats that are being set up for the venue, and we'll be setting those up. And we feel that 1,200 will be enough, but with the tickets that are requested beyond the original allotment, I guess there's a possibility that we might not be able to honor all requests. So I think it's unlikely, and there's no guarantee, and it's very unlikely, I would say, that multiple requests will have the seating, the pods being together, just for reasons that I hope I've clarified for you. Moving on, the ceremony itself. Students will arrive. We'd ask them to be here on campus by 3 p.m. They can park in the student parking lot. They should come in there wearing their gown, wearing their cap, having their tassel, having their sash on. In person, I would have told kids a million times by now to go out and buy yourself a good steamer. It's not good only for now, but in future life, I always remind kids, don't be the unfortunate one that tries to iron your gown. They're nice, but they melt very quickly with a real iron. So we tell kids to get the gown out, steam it out, or hang it in the shower sometimes, and the ambient shower steam will straighten it out. They should come in that gear. They should come with wearing their attire and show up. So they're going to have to walk that one final walk from the student parking lot up to the school. We'd ask them to be up by the tennis courts, looking for their assigned tent by that letter in the cap, by 3 o'clock. Kids should be aware that they should dress for the weather. We have some expectations. They've become relaxed over the years, but to be honest with you, I favor a formal graduation ceremony. So kids are going to be walking on grass. So start with your footwear. Sensible footwear. I would go against heels, something that is affixed to the foot and can allow you to navigate the grass, because they're going to be walking down the length of the field. We ask a collared shirt. We also ask that students wear pants or a dress, not shorts or jeans. And probably should have put this item back up top, but make sure your graduate writes their name inside the cap, because we're doing the traditional cap toss, and there's always confusion about whose is whose. They're sized to the student, and it's always helpful to have the name on the inside. At the tennis courts, so again, the importance of that letter inside the cap. They'll go to a tent, A through F or G through L. Miss Throckmorton, one of our teachers who helps out with graduations, a senior favorite, will be there coordinating student action on that day, along with many, many other faculty members who are there to help, but Miss Throckmorton in particular. And again, that letter assigns, corresponds to the block of the pod tickets. And again, I would just draw your attention to the bottom of that companion page. If you're looking at it, there's a schematic. The field will be set up. So students will be staged in a couple of tents outside the venue near the soccer field. They'll be put in order, checked in, etc. At the time of the ceremony, they'll proceed down. If you've been up in that part of the campus, they'll make their way down the paved walkway to the sort of field opening, and we've got it set up where they'll walk down the middle, very center of the soccer field, toward the stage that'll be in the far back, if you think about the soccer field as you've seen it. The schematic shows the stage. Students will be in one of two blocks. They'll be 6 feet apart. They'll be we haven't settled the question about masks yet. There's been some guidance that so long as we absolutely maintain 6 feet of distance outdoors between graduates, they don't need the mask. Want some more clarification before I'm convinced of that, but that's information to be shared later. And then on either side, if you're imagining the graduates walking down the center of the field, we have that divided off, separated from the seating areas, and the pods on the right or left. So that schematic also shows you the lettering system, A, B, C, D, E, and F through J on the other side. You'll have a sense of how to look, where your graduate will be, how they'll be traveling on the stage, where you'll be sitting, and we'll, if necessary, we'll update the schematic to be a little bit more specific. But I think it's a pretty close rendering. What the schematic doesn't show is we're going to have a big old jumbotron to the right of the stage, and we worked with the sound professionals today, so there won't be a seat in the venue where you won't be able to see, at least on the jumbotron, the action on the stage, and that's kind of a cool thing. So we're happy with that. Now, in terms of instructions for families, I think I'll just pause for a minute and check the chat. Looks like we're. I see a question about certain times that kids can come and pick up the caps and gowns. There is a first come, first serve element to it, like I said, but it'll be done through the main office anytime the main office is open and staffed, early in the morning, 7:30 to 4 o'clock. Students can come in, and there'll be somebody there to help them to get their caps and gowns. Looks like we're doing pretty good on the questions. Now, instructions for families and guests. There's parking. There should be all the parking we need. If you think of yourself driving up to Bangor High School, where you normally see the faculty park, those will be open for graduation guests. There are a number of spots around there. I'm guessing 75 or 80. That might be high. There's parking up along the I guess the north end of campus, where you might have been in the habit of picking up a student heading out or heading back in. And we always have the student parking lot, which will accommodate more than the vehicles that we anticipate. Handicap parking is, you'll be directed, but there's handicap parking available right near the venue, near the tennis courts. Then we'll make sure that's clear. We're recommending also that if you have folks that you want to drop off at the ceremony, that you go on the inner access road of the high school, and near the Peaks doors, there'll be a place with a sloped curve where you can drop people off, and it's a paved walkway down to the entrance of the venue. So parking should not be an issue. We've even got backup plans for our friendly business owners and neighbors in the area if we feel that we need it. When you arrive, this is a ticketed event. Like I said, we need to control the venue. The event itself, I'll just share with you, it's typical for a high school graduation to have a ticket requirement, because if there are issues with those who might want to politicize the event or gain access to the event for a reason that might take away from the event, having it be ticketed gives us a right to remove those folks. And we don't have to do it. It's not been my experience we had to do that, but it's a ticket event for that reason. But as you can imagine, we need to carefully control and direct seating and foot traffic, et cetera, entrance, egress. So we really need those tickets in hand. We have a process to get you as many, I think, within reason as people need and want, but they need to be in hand. And on that ticket will be the pod. And at that entryway will be an usher, faculty member in all likelihood, that will usher you to your seated area. Each pod has 4 seats. People cannot double up in seats. We can't add seats to a pod. They're all spaced in distance and coordinated in a way that we feel is in line strongly with outdoor event standards. No sharing of seats and pods and all that stuff. The Jumbotron I mentioned. And like I said, there might have been, I've heard some questions, or there might have been some ideas battered around about some general standing seating on the football field, practice field, which is behind the event. We ordered 200 more chairs to avoid that. We really do need to control the ceremony, so we won't be having people standing room only kind of in the way back. For other, I'm just going to pause, take a look at the chat. There's a question about caps and gowns as of today. I think we need to keep it in line with the 1st through the 7th. If that changes, then we'll communicate it. One thing that we make a point of doing, but we don't over rely upon, is the Google Classroom for the senior class. We put a lot of information. We do rely a lot on students to have the responsibility of meeting deadlines and giving us information. We always try to back up with a parent ask or a parent confirmation. So the Google Classroom, if you haven't joined, I believe parents are invited to join, but students, a lot of communication about graduation requirements and procedures like the ones we're talking about tonight are put in black and white in the Google Classroom. So I would turn your attention there as well. There's a question about live streaming. This channel, the one we're watching on now, there will be a live stream of the graduation ceremony. I'm not sure of the camera setup or camera dynamics, but there will be a live stream of stage events at least. That will be, as this video will be, it will be immediately parked and archived for access afterward. At the event itself, we get the junior class. If you could bring some cash and you're interested in a beverage or snack or some RAM swag takeaway items, there'll be, junior class will be at the event. They'll be selling concessions, light concessions, and also some attire, etc. That's one of their fundraisers, and junior class is really killing it. They're really organized, and we're happy to have them there for this service, I guess. You know, I was greatly insulted when somebody told me the graduation ceremony would be 3 hours. In my in-person record for the graduation ceremony is 1 hour and 47 minutes. I'm not silly enough to think we'll break that record, but I'm anticipating it being a little bit north of 2 hours. So as you think about attending the event, the seats won't be covered. We won't have, we'll have limited tent space for some coverage, but the general seating population, of course, we can't cover. So depending on precipitation, depending on wind, cold, etc., and with awareness that we're going to be on grass, I'd encourage you to dress wisely as guests and know that you're going to be there for a couple of hours. And one other thing that came through, great question from somebody. We do have, we're fully aware that ticks are abundant right now, and we'll be taking steps on the field to eradicate, if not eliminate, ticks. But it's always wise when you've been outdoors to give yourself a tick check afterward. We won't be offering that service, but we encourage you. We'll be trying to prevent ticks, and would encourage you to be mindful. You can be outside for a couple hours. There's a chance that ticks might find their way to your body. We hope not. I think I've covered everything in that I intended to on the companion page. And we're about a half hour now. I'm going to monitor the chat and see what comes up for questions. Photography, yes. We do have somebody asked a question about photography. I believe we've secured a final photography vendor. We'll be on site, professional photography, with the taking of the picture of when the student actually receives the diploma and crosses the stage. Just like in the live indoor venue, we asked the folks, obviously for COVID reasons, that folks stay in their seats and not approach for photos and things like that. Yeah. Memory maker photos, I see, has been put in the chat. We'll send that information out. This is a time that I guess you're wise to double down on communication. I appreciate everybody's patience around these plans developing and getting out. There'll be physical, documents that are sent out, but a lot of it's going to be done electronically. And if you go to our website, the graduation information page has been updated twice now. What we'll do here is we'll capture any questions that came out of today. We'll put them on in the updated graduation information page. As yet unresolved questions about masking and things of that nature come up, we'll be sure to post them. But I feel really good about the ceremony. We've started to do in-person events. We had our NHS induction actually tonight. I had the great joy of congratulating our state championship cheerleaders in Peaks Auditorium. We've got a band concert, a chorus concert coming up. We had a terrific orchestra performance concert the other night. Things are picking up. We're taking all kinds of precautionary measures, but hope you're joining me and us as a school in looking forward to an in-person graduation. And there's a question here about awards and scholarships. I shared this at the school committee meeting the other night. It's been our tradition for a long time in non-COVID years to have a junior and senior academic awards night. And for a lot of reasons, an event that size indoors, we couldn't offer. And actually a bummer, but a good and bad thing, or bad and good thing, is we're going to be losing access to Peaks Auditorium in a couple of weeks here as that goes on under a renovation. So that's a long way of saying that we decided against an in-person scholarship and award ceremony. So we'll be doing a video. I don't know the release date yet. It's in development. We'll do the video like we did last year, where there'll be some recorded addressing, and maybe dress it up, formalize it a little bit from last year, but we'll list most of the scholarship recipients through that video. And of course, anytime a student receives a scholarship, there's a physical paperwork that's sent out to families as well. So look for that. I wish we could do something, but it was just too much to take on, and losing the venue really gives a hard time. But virtual, yes. Price. I see a question here about price, caps and gowns. I think somebody can post the cost of the caps and gowns, which as I think through, that's the only direct cost. Really lucky we have a number of faculty and staff and kind people in the community that donate to the school to support students who might need help with the cap and gown. And this might also be a good time to say, I think all expenses are taken care of, but if you incur any expense, anything related to closing out school, participating in events, enjoying graduation, if an expense gets in the way as a barrier to that, please do not hesitate to call the main office. We want to find a way to work, and we don't want to have any limitations from folks enjoying graduation. I would guess, I see a question about remote students. I would guess that if you asked your student, been in contact with somebody from the office about the cap and gown, that's something that we do super early. It's been any student that we see potential of graduating, and I didn't mean that in a bad way. We make sure that we have a cap and gown on order for every student. So I wouldn't worry if you haven't seen an artifact of a cap and gown. I would just be tuned into your email, check with your student, check on the Google Classroom. We're probably, I'm guessing, about now halfway paid on all the caps and gowns by my last count. But on that companion page, link to one of the hot links about asking a question, that will take you to somebody that can answer it for you. Yeah, so it looks like we're doing pretty well. Prom, I'll just qualify some things about prom. We did have to limit prom attendance to only Bangor High School students for a lot of good reasons. It's at Annett's Shrine Temple. The information is more laid out discreetly on the website. There's no cost to prom, but it has to be a Bangor High School student. We've taken some steps. There were some that were concerned about being an indoor venue, so we have a tent that's outside the venue but joined to it that will allow students to be outside for the entire time if they want to be. Big covered space, and feel good about prom. 7 to 10 p.m. on the 29th. And again, no cost to students for that. Keep monitoring the chat. Yeah, so just kind of rehashing. We're in really good position. Some of these logistics things I know are confusing. We'll keep communicating them. The most important next steps are that first, the turn of the month with picking up the cap and gown, settling all those any incurred charges, and of course the hard work of the kids sprinting to the finish line as seniors and making sure graduation requirements are met and they're in position to enjoy the ceremony. Well, it looks like traffic slowed down. The upward bound of the online meeting tonight was an hour. We're halfway there. I've talked a lot. You're probably tired of hearing me talk, but I hope the information was helpful. I don't anticipate doing another live session, but if something comes up, I will get it out. Look for this video to be posted as I believe as soon as it's done. Get the word out, and I appreciate you so much. Really proud to be able to offer a in-person graduation ceremony, and looking forward to seeing you on the 13th, Bangor High School, 4 p.m., if not sooner. Thank you very much, and have a great night.